Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Garcia, Executive Director of Denver Labor. Auditor O'Brien and I would like to thank you for taking a little bit of time to learn about Denver Labor and how we can help you. The COVID virus has created new challenges for all of us. My staff's working from home, but we haven't changed the work that we're doing. We work tirelessly to ensure that every Denver employee is paid the lawful wage and that every employer can comply with Denver's laws easily. Denver Labor enforces 5 labor laws: prevailing wage, which you'll learn a great deal about today; Davis-Bacon, which is the federal equivalent of prevailing wage on federally funded projects; minimum wage, that's the minimum any employee in the city and county of Denver should be paid; contractor minimum wage, that's the amount that contract employees with the city and county of Denver should be paid; and living wage, that's the minimum that contract employees with the city and county of Denver should be paid on very specific and limited projects. We're here to serve the entire community: employers, employees, the city. When wage enforcement is done correctly, everyone benefits. Employers get the workforce they need, employees get good, well-paying jobs, and the city gets the goods and services it needs. We're trying to be as adaptive and flexible as possible right now. And in the future, we may continue some of these practices or make new changes. But no matter what happens, we're here to help you. If after learning about Denver Labor and what we do, you or someone you know needs our help, contact us. Don't hesitate. We're on the internet. You can contact us by email or by telephone. Now let me introduce you to Candace. She's going to teach us all about prevailing wage today. Thanks, Candace.
Thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon. I am really excited to be here this afternoon with you on Facebook Live. Before I go over the prevailing wage ordinance and some of the key elements, I wanted to share a goal of Denver Labor in reference to the prevailing wage ordinance, and that is to ensure workers are being classified and paid properly for the work they are performing, as well as assisting contractors at all tiers whom employ those workers to be successful by navigating the prevailing wage ordinance requirements in receiving timely payment. Now for the fun part of this presentation, the prevailing wage ordinance and some of the key elements. Denver's prevailing wage ordinance is Section 2076 of the Denver Revised Municipal Code, which requires payment of prevailing wage. The Auditor's Office has sole authority to enforce Denver's prevailing wage ordinance. The Auditor's Office ensures the payment of prevailing wages. Prevailing wages are a minimum wage based on regional surveys conducted by the U.S. Department of Labor and the City's Office of Human Resources. Those covered under the prevailing wage ordinance are the workers of any prime contractor and any subcontractors at all tiers. When does prevailing wage apply? It applies to construction, alteration, improvement, repair, maintenance, demolition, and certain services on city-owned or leased building or land, and for any agency of the city or financed in whole or in part by the city in a total contract excess of $2,000. Proper classification and rates of workers. Workers are to be classified and paid properly for the classification of work they are performing. Prevailing wage rates are a minimum. The total wage rate on a wage determination is a base hourly rate plus a fringe rate. To meet the total wage rate, it can be a combination of the base hourly rate, fringes, and/or cash in lieu. Wage determinations. Denver's Office of Human Resources adopts the federal wage determinations, building, heavy, highway, and residential. OHR has the ability to attach a supplemental which lists common classifications not contained in the federal wage determination. Contractors are only allowed to use the supplemental if the classification is not listed in the adopted federal wage determination. The supplemental cannot be used on projects with federal funds. The wage determinations, building, all work inside the footprint or foundation of a building. Highway, roads, parking lots, and other thoroughfares like sidewalks. Heavy, work not performed in a building or on a road like parks, floodplains, infrastructure. OHR, which is special classifications not addressed by the USDOL. These are mostly maintenance, but also contain custodians, pest control, tree trimmers, and window cleaners. Living wage is for parking lot attendants, security guards, and childcare workers. The residential wage rate is for housing of 4 stories or less. This wage determination applies to Davis-Bacon project contracts issued by Denver Economic Development and Opportunity Housing Development Division. Fringe benefits. Fringe benefits must be paid as part of prevailing wage on all hours worked, both regular and overtime. Contractors' paid fringe benefits must be approved by our office before being applied to offset the prevailing wage requirement. Initial submittal, annual renewals, any changes, additions, or deletions need to be submitted to the pwfringes@denvergov.org email address. Fringe benefits not approved must be paid as cash directly to the employee. The most common field for this is cash in lieu. Overtime. Overtime is enforced after 40 hours. Even if the employee works the first 40 hours on a non-prevailing wage project, once the employee is working over 40 hours on a prevailing wage project, overtime applies. Overtime is calculated at 1.5 times the higher of the established hourly rate or prevailing wage rate plus full fringe. Apprentices. Apprentices must have a current certificate from USDOL Office of Apprenticeship Training. The certificates are valid and expire 90 days after the issue date. We strictly enforce a 1-to-1 apprenticeship ratio, that is 1 apprentice to 1 journeyman. Helpers or trainees are not allowed. Salary personnel performing work. Do not report salary personnel if only supervising. However, if the salary personnel perform work, for example, pick up a tool, operate equipment, it does need to get reported in LCP Tracker. Their annual salary must be converted to an hourly rate and must be at least the minimum prevailing wage rate. To convert the annual salary into an hourly rate, take the annual salary, divide by 2,080, and that will equal the hourly rate. Overtime applies to salary personnel performing work after 40 hours. Owner-operator requirements. All contractors or subcontractors who classify themselves as owner-operators must verify to our office that they are legitimate business entities. Owner-operators are required to sign an affidavit and provide one of the following documents: Article of Organization or Incorporation, State Name Registration, Form 1040 Schedule C, or IRS Federal ID Number Letter. For truckers, they are required to provide the affidavit, vehicle registration, certificate of insurance, and a valid driver's license. Owner-operators are required to submit certified payroll records in LCP Tracker. Legitimate owner-operators only have to report their hours worked, not pay information on the certified payroll records. Weekly payment of employees. Employees are to be paid on a weekly basis. Cash payment to employees is not acceptable. Changes in wage rates. Contracts exceeding 365 days. The wages bound in the contract remain in effect for 12 months from the anniversary date, which is the bid publication date. On projects with federal funds, wage rates are frozen for the duration of the project. On-site inspections. On-site inspections will be conducted. Inform employees that this is a prevailing wage project and they might be interviewed. Wage rate and prevailing wage posters must be displayed in an easily accessible place on the job site. Submittal of certified payroll records. Certified payroll records must be submitted electronically using LCP Tracker. Our office is available to assist with using LCP Tracker. Our office is happy to assist contractors not familiar with LCP Tracker, as well as contractors that may just need a refresher. To assist with submitting payroll records and navigating LCP Tracker, our office has tutorial videos on our website. Here's an example of a few of them. Non-compliance, failure to submit certified payroll records, rejected payroll reports, false reporting, misclassification, and underpaying of employees. The prime contractor is responsible for all subcontractors at all tiers. Invoices for payment are routed to the prevailing wage analyst for compliance and final approval. The penalty for non-compliance is the withhold of payment to the prime and/or enforcement of financial penalties. Additionally, Denver has a Denver contractor minimum wage, which applies to employees who work on prevailing wage projects that the classification wage rate on the federal wage determination is less than the Denver contractor minimum wage. This does not apply on prevailing wage projects with federal funds. It also applies to employees who work for contractors or subcontractors to the city and county of Denver on city property, providing concessions, catering, maintenance, ramp, cargo, hospitality, or security may be subject to the Denver contractor minimum wage. Current Denver contractor minimum wage is $13. That does increase on July 1st. For more information, you can certainly visit our website at denvergov.org, Denver Labor. The denverauditor.org/Denver Labor website has many resources. Some of the resources are ordinance information, such as forms and posters, LCP Tracker tutorial videos, and an icon to see if an employee is owed money. Thank you very much for your time. I encourage you to contact us via email if you have any questions. Once again, thank you.